Welcome to the Arizona Podcast. This is what I have for you today. I did double time. 2 pots for you, 1 day, because it's Christmas. So, Merry Christmas from yours truly and the pod. Before we get to the pod, I wanted to do a little thing. And I forgot to put this in the sports one. So, I'm gonna put it here because Shohei Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, and the city of LA is acting like Ohtani just got to Los Angeles and he got to California. The Rams yesterday in the game presented Ohtani. Now, mind you, Ohtani signed with the Angels on December of 2017. He played with the Angels 6 seasons, and now the city of LA is acting like he made it to Los Angeles, and this is why. The Angels may have in their name Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And if you don't live in LA, and if you don't live in, Southern California, you may think, okay, Anaheim's in Los Angeles. And it is not. It very, very much is not Los Angeles. So, when the Angels switched their name to Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, everyone here knew what it was. It was a money grab, and we all hated it because it's not LA. So the Rams introducing him as a player and as a, almost like if he just came to Los Angeles. It's because he just came to Los Angeles. So. And this is why it matters that Ohtani is in a big team, because the Dodgers matter. The Dodgers are an important franchise, and Ohtani is going to become a gigantic star. And I think it's going to be a reason why you're going to get a lot of these younger kids that are going to watch because of Ohtani. And even though he played with the Angels and it's Southern California and Disneyland, the Angels really don't matter nationally. So, and the Dodgers do. So I wanted to point that out because I thought it was funny at the Rams introduced him, and it was like, wait, he's kind of been here for 6 years, but okay. Not to the pod. I had Johnny today, one of my favorite people, and we talked about his experience as a son of a pastor and just what that was. And it's very honest conversation, and he was open, and I'm just thankful to him that he was willing to have that talk. Because to me, I grew up in the church, so I have always been fascinated by the children of pastors because I'm sure it's not easy. And as a pastor myself, I think like, man, it's probably gonna be really tough on my kids. So when I have that conversation, hopefully I get some a few more PKs, and if not, Johnny was great. Hopefully he comes on again and joins me for another talk. So that's the pod. I hope you enjoy it. Merry Christmas. Next pod for me is gonna be Monday night, or Tuesday morning, either or. I'm gonna do a pod after all the NFL madness, the NBA. I'll do NBA, just Christmas Day, because it seems like the NBA season for everybody else starts Christmas Day. That's when people are like, oh, the NBA. So we'll do that. That's Monday night, Tuesday morning, either or. We'll see. We'll see how Christmas goes, But here's Johnny. Hope you enjoyed the pod. Johnny's here. Johnny Trujillo is here.
Special,
Very special. We're doing this in person, So
Yeah.
these are always fun. I typically I record with my friend David, and he lives in Paso Robles. So is our Zoom. So it's a different feel when you have the person in the flesh.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of podcast people who they say the same thing. Like back when COVID, it was like, oh, over Zoom or over the phone, not the same. In person, who's got to be.
Yeah, it's so much better because you're getting the direct feedback, and you're seeing the facial expressions, and it's less awkward, I think. So um, today we're gonna talk about a topic. So you and I go way back to what 20. What year did you get married?
I got married in 2015. 2015.
2015.
Yeah, let's see. So we were born in 2015.
2015. Okay. So you and I met 2015. I started going to Calvary Chapel, South LA, which is where you are currently at, where you were born, maybe?
It
No?
was more like I was born a little before a year. My dad became a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Chino Valley for years.
Gotcha.
And then around, I think, 5 or 6 years old,
Mm-hmm.
was when he finally, that's when God called him to be a pastor, and he came out here.
Gotcha. Okay. So you were raised, though. Raised, covered.
Born and raised.
Yeah. So you and I met there. I remember dropping people off at your wedding after after a conference thing, a youth conference at Downey.
That's why John didn't come to my wedding. It's because of that.
Really?
Yeah, we just had dinner with him like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sierra made sure to bring that up.
Oh man.
It's all cool.
Yeah.
We're still cool now, but we're like, your wedding. Sierra's like, no, you didn't. Take that money real quick. I looked at Leslie and I was like, I'll let them handle this one.
Well, this is before your time, so you don't get blamed for that. So I remember dropping people off at your wedding, and obviously I knew who you were. I didn't know you, and shortly after that, we sparked a friendship. It's been great. And one of the things that I remember talking to you about was, so I grew up in the church. I've been in the church since I was like 4 years old. Been serving seriously since I was like 14. So I've been in church my whole life. I know the ins and outs, the whole thing. And one of the things that always fascinated me was the kids of the leaders and the pastors, because those kids were different. Now, those kids had a way different upbringing, and I think you always got either like the pastor's kid who was like rebellious, or you got the pastor's kid who was like serious, I guess. But from the outside looking in, you could never tell how serious they were, because you're like, well, you're the pastor's kid. You kind of have to be involved in here. And I remember talking to you about it and telling you, like, man, like, I wish we could do like a camp, like just the pastor's kids only / like we could. I mean, which we could still do. We're young.
Believe it or not, I had a conversation with another pastor.
Ooh.
About possibly maybe even doing a conference.
Yeah.
I felt the need. I feel like God's given me to have like, even if it's just like a discussion of like,
Yes.
dude, like, what are your questions? Like, we've been through it. We're on the other side now, still in ministry, outside of the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was cool. That conversation actually brought up things in my mind. I was like, dude, you know what? You're right about that. Like, I was coming at it more of a, oh, if there's problems, will be the solution. And she was like, the one I was talking to, she was like, but it was actually really blessing. If it wasn't for this A, B, and C, and like, it kind of like threw me for a curve, because I was like, here I came at it as like a, hey, we could help you, but like maybe it could be like a, it's just like how I think ministry should be, or even just as Christians help each other.
Yeah.
I guess something like that.
Yeah.
So it's still in the works, but we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome. And yeah, so we had this whole thing, and once I revamped the pod, I was like, okay, this is, and I texted you like a few weeks ago, and I was like, okay, like we need to let's do this. You've been, your dad's been in pastor how long?
I would say a pastor, like almost like 25 years, I guess. If I'm 30, around 5 is when like around 25 years.
25 years. And you don't know life outside of church,
Basically.
correct?
Nope.
Like there's no like,
earliest memory was literally home church.
Yeah.
With either at our house or my grandpa's house.
Right. So you've not only have not known church outside of church, you haven't known church without your dad being the pastor.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
basically. Yeah. Like you said, that's my earliest memory.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of like the way, you're raised, because you got to imagine you're along with other, kids, whether they're family or not, that doesn't really matter. As you've grown up in the church and grown up as your dad being the pastor, has that how has that affected the way you view the church?
Well, I think it affected me in the way where there's things that you see behind that a lot of people really don't see. Like a lot of people, like I know, they have like this vision of what pastor is and who he is, but pastor's just a human like everybody else. They have their struggles. It's not just the struggles that they deal with. It's also they're putting on their struggles, their wife struggles, their kids struggles, the church's struggles. So there's a lot of it from it can be stressful, but it's also, I don't know. My view of it has just been. It's just a different view. I can't even really describe it as much. It's just I see it differently than the kids. And like I'm able to. Don't even know, bro. It's hard to put it into words because it's like you want to be like, oh, it was like the best thing, but sometimes it wasn't. And to see church, it was just like, okay, it was just a place to go. Instead of like, especially as a kid, instead of it being like, oh, it's a church, it's to be taken super serious. As a kid, you're like, oh, that's just like another place we go to, and it's just routine. And I get to play around with people I like. Cool. I have my church friends. Yeah.
And what about when you became like a teenager?
For me, it was the same. I was just like, all right, well, church is something we've done since the beginning of time. So we go to church, and you know what? It's funny. I was just remembering, one time, like I would just take it as, okay, it's church. We got to sit in church and do the thing. And I remember this. Our youth pastor at the time, our youth leader, he was doing a song, and in the song he's like, I will dance like David, and then like I just started like doing like a little jig, and like he got upset at me. Like, you're the pastor's kid. You shouldn't be dancing during the song. I'm like, you literally just sang the lyric. I wouldn't dance like David danced. So I did.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just took it as, okay, this is like my second home kind of thing. I think that'll be a better answer. It's like
second home.
Kind of like a second home where you're able to you can just still be yourself. Like, why do you got to be weird about it?
Yeah. Was there any, like, as you see and view the church, was there ever any negative view of the church?
Not in my experience. Like there was times where like there were people that you could tell like they have some type of either envy or animosity towards you. But luckily, the way I was raised and the way like my dad is, like my dad, he's very jokeful. I just took it as like, oh, whatever, dude. Like, you're just dust on my shoulder. You're gonna be gone in a couple weeks or whatever, and I just, for me, I'm very much a laid back person too. So I was just like, if there was any, I just rubbed it off and pushed forward.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you ever feel like the church was stealing your dad away?
Yeah, there would be times, especially like when my dad would like, we'll be having a family time, and then someone will call because they're struggling with something or they're dealing with something, and there'll be times where like my dad will be like, oh, I gotta, you can see it sign him to my mom, and she's like, yeah, oh, go ahead, go. So it would just be like my mom handling us watching the movie or whatever. So there was times like that. There was times where like he would go on just like a trip or whatever because of it. But it wasn't. It again, since I grew up in it, I just saw it as, oh, that's just what happens. Like dad's gotta go, and it's cool, it's fine, because in the end he would always come back. Dad's always back. So even if we miss him for a day, he'll be back the next day. So it's cool.
Yeah. So you pretty much, you from what you're saying, it's positive, right? Like it was all.
Yeah, but like I said, there were things, but like even now looking back at it, I'm just like, whatever, dude. It's the past. I can't really hold on to it.
Yeah. What about the members of the church?
What about them?
Where you was being the pastor's son, did that affect how you saw some of the members?
It was more like, as long as my dad was okay with them and he talked to them, I was okay with them. So like, even if like it was a quote unquote dangerous person to be around, I just saw them as, dude, they're part of the church. Like they might as well be family. Well, for the whole time, for a long time, it was nothing but family. But like maybe a sprinkle of somebody. So now when other like randos will come, it was like, oh, they're just family. Like treat them like family. We still give them like after we get to know them, it's like, oh, we still give hugs and instead of just handshakes or whatever. And it was like, I just saw people as family, and that's about it.
Yeah. So there was, how was it? Because I mean, you're a pastor's kid, and I'm sure your dad exercised wisdom as much as he could. But you hear stuff, someone saying Xing about your dad or your parents, and did that ever affect you? Like whenever you would hear stuff like that?
Not necessarily. I think for me it would be more like, why would they be thinking like that? Why would they say that about dad? Like again, like since I was in the house, I saw that. I knew how he was, what he would say, or what he would do, like how he felt about people. And so to hear people talk about him in a different way than how he was talking, I was like, yeah, but in my mind I'd be like, but you don't even know him. There's a reason why this was like that. So like I would know the back end, but they were just seeing the front.
Right.
So they were seeing things. I'm like, but you don't even know.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't tell them because there's also like some type of like within the family there's like a secrecy like to ministry. So it's like, okay, like I can't be the gossip. I can't do that stuff. That's not what God tells us to be. So you just gotta like, again, take it on the shoulder, take it on the chin, just like, oh, cool, that's what you think about my dad. Cool, all right, like that's weird, but okay.
So you just had to go with it.
Yeah, like because again, I think I can be an outlier compared to other pastors' kids, but I just saw like as okay, well, I can't really deal with that, and I don't want to deal with it, so I'm just gonna walk away. Like this doesn't need to happen. I guess I wouldn't say I'm a peacemaker. I'm more of just like there's complication there. I don't want any part of that. I don't want to be part of that. I'm just gonna make myself faint from it. I don't know. That's how I am.
Right. And then how did like as you're growing up in the church and the church is changing, the church is growing, obviously the demand gets bigger on your dad, and how were you like responding to that change? Because I'm sure it's a different when your dad is pastoring in a home and now there's the pressure of there's a building now, there's rent, there's like all these different pressures that are not on you when you're like in a home. Like how did that affect you at all?
You're gonna hate my answer, but
No.
luckily I could say that I'm really
Yeah.
glad that my parents did this. But at the same time, it's like it's freaking like a double-edged sword because they kept it in a way not secret, but they kept it hidden enough to where it wasn't our problem. It was their problem, and they had to handle it. But it wasn't our problem to like if they were stressing over it. In my recollection of my childhood, I would hardly see that. There will be times because obviously it can get to that point, but other than that, when it came to like the church stuff, church rent, church anything like that, it was very much like we didn't see it. And my dad, he would handle the business he needed to take care of, whether it be the equipment. And a lot of the times, like for instance, when we were actually just down the street. I just passed it coming over here. We were at this hall that we rented right by Southgate High. Every day, every Sunday, we'd get up early. We'd load all the stuff in our garage, like all the I remember the freaking the drums, the guitar, everything that we needed for the service. Put it into my dad's Astro van, make our way to the service, then set everything up, and that was my job to help out with that. Wake up with him in the morning and go. So it just became just part of life. So as life evolved, so did the church, and I just kind of just like, well, it's got to be done. Someone's got to do it, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, which speaks to the wisdom that your dad had to not like keep that away from you.
Yeah.
Because I think that can bring about a lot of stress on you. Because if your parents are not pastors, and you hear them like, oh man, I don't know what we're gonna do about bills, or man, we got rent coming up. As a kid, and you hear you stress out because you're like, oh man, like, are we gonna be okay? Like, what's and especially when you're a kid and you don't know anything, you think the worst.
That's why I say it's dangerous too, because my parents have always instilled in me like, don't worry, God's got it. Like, if God wants us to struggle, there's a reason why we gotta struggle. But for the most part, God's got us. We really live by the scripture on that. Even to this day, like. Even with my wife would be like, but we don't have, like, especially when we first got married. I was like, oh, but we don't have the money for the car payment. We don't have the money for the rent. Isn't that? It would infuriate her. I'd just be like, yeah, but God got it. What do you mean God's got it? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not worried about it. But you just lost your job. Yeah, but God's got me. It's cool. Yeah. And she would get pissed at me, but I'm like, no. So my dad was that, like, oh, God's got it. Don't worry about it. God's got it. And that's how I am now too with it. So,
man, okay. So when you look back at, well, I guess when you look forward now, is there a difference between how you see like all these things, like the church, the members, from when you were little to now, or is it just the same?
I think it's different now.
Okay.
Because back then, I was the pastor's kid and a member, quote unquote, of the church. But then now that I'm actually active in the ministry, I now, instead of just seeing it, I experience everything that he had went through or he had talked about with me. Because there was times where my dad would, like, if there were a situation and he would sit down and talk to me, be like, look, this is how it's supposed to be handled because this is what the word says. So then now actually being able to apply it in ministry where, like, someone wants to be and you're like, no, but love takes over all that. Like, to be able to apply it now and see the work to be done, I'm like, oh, that's what you meant by that. It's kind of like how we were, like, when we were talking about.
Yeah.
There's a difference between, like, oh yeah, I get what the word says, and yeah, that's cool. But then now living it,
right?
You're like, oh, that's what it meant.
Yeah.
So then it's more like that now, where it's like, oh, so that's why my dad did that as a kid. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. What about how you viewed God? How has that evolved from the perspective of a PK?
Yeah, for me, it's always been. It's just always been like God's there. God's always gonna be there, no matter even if you're bad or good. Like, He's there and he's just waiting on you. And now, for me, it's not even through as a PK, but it's also being a dad. Where now I see it towards like that's what it means by a sacrificial love. That's what it means. That's why God's like, hey, I'm not gonna force myself on you. Like, if you want me, all right, cool. If you don't, I recommend you come to me. I beg you, but you're gonna do what you're gonna do. And I see God more. I think it's like a loving father, dude. And it's because that's how I saw my dad. My dad like had his ways, but in the end, we knew like he loved us. And I know, and that's why like I just explained it right now. It's like even if we're bad, even if I've done bad, I know that I could go back to Papa God.
Yeah.
I hate the daddy God, but it's like I know that like God's gonna be there to pull me back up.
Right.
Okay, you messed up, just dust you off, but you gotta keep going.
Yeah.
And I think even now, like that's a time in my life where I'm even in that time right now where it's like I was down and God's like, okay, you messed up, keep going. You're messed up, keep going. I'm like, Lord, but I keep falling. Just keep going, like, and I'm able to apply that really well now. I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm not gonna mess up this time, but I'll keep going.
Yeah.
I just see it like that, where I see the forgiving of it.
Yeah.
All right.
How did you when did you start taking your relationship with God seriously?
Honestly, bro, it would be probably after the conversation that we had back when. I remember distinctly it was when we were having when I was watching my mother.
I remember that.
Yeah. My mother-in-law's house, and we had that walk, and I asked you one thing. What? You playing around? He goes, and you told me like, I think you could do better, basically, and I was like, maybe I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, from then on, I took God serious. I had my time when I was at Disney, but then like even coming back from that, I was like, no, like this is it. Like, there's life, but there's God over life.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then it hit. I took God serious, and then the kid came, and it was like, oh, even deeper. Like,
oh man.
Goodness,
Yeah.
Like, I definitely need you. God. Like,
Right.
And it's just, yeah, bro. I would say for sure. It was after the conversation that's what started it, and the kid was just like.
Yeah, the final push, man.
It put me in a different level. It put me to the next.
Yeah. Did you, being a father yourself now, is there like what lessons? Because your kid is growing up. Toby's growing up from the standpoint of my grandpa's the pastor. My dad's a very important leader. And he's taking it, he'll take a less, but he's still under the umbrella. What things can you provide for him in terms of guiding him, in terms of kind of like warning him about what's ahead for him,
Yeah. I think the thing is like the one thing that I see like best about this is that I'm able to give him those warnings. Like,
Yeah.
There's times where like Papa can't be there because of ministry.
Right.
And he's like, where Papa was Nana? And I'll be like, hey Papa, like there's times where it's gonna be like that, but it's okay. Don't worry about it because guess what? Don't make it up. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't make it no. But for real, it's like I'm able to give him that experience of like, hey, there's something greater than what's going on. And like if it was in their control, they would be here.
Yeah.
But God caught him somewhere else at the moment.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's older. He's a little older now, so he's able to like, oh, hey, cool, whatever, and just move on. And I'm like, dude, if I could just, that would be cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought I was gonna have more of a problem. Guess not.
Yeah.
And I'm able to. It's just that unique experience of it. It's like I could just guide them how I went through it, but at the same time, you could gotta deal with it too.
Yeah.
So have fun with that. I'll be here if you need advice. I'll help you, but you still gotta do it yourself too.
Yeah, because it's I've known people who or kids, maybe now they're not no longer kids, but I know people whose parents devoted their life to the ministry. Some pastors, some not, but devoted themselves to ministry. And I've heard people who have this, they don't view the church as good. They don't view God as good, but it's like God robbed me of my dad or my mom, and which is natural. I get it. It's not a mature standpoint. Obviously, it's a you know you probably aren't. If you're a Christian, you're very weak and childish Christian. Um, but you can see it, because the person who works long days and feel like, oh man, my dad's never home. He's always working. That it's the same feeling, but
I think there's a difference with that
okay.
though, because in my experience, there's a difference between dad's not home because he's at work, and it's like, yeah, he's at work, and again he's trying to provide, but he's not about that. Rather, when you come into the understanding of what his role is, I understood what my dad's role, like, basically as I was growing up, it was just like, since it was there, I understood it,
Yeah.
and it really kicked in, especially when I was in my teens. But then I was just like, okay, but my dad's role is more important than me. My dad's role is more important, sadly, than my mom, because this is a calling from God, and I can't disrupt that calling. If I do, I'm gonna be held liable for that, and I don't want to be held liable for it. So I'm gonna back myself off from that. Like,
How
you handle that.
how did you come to that understanding?
It was honestly, it's just the way my parents raised me. They always raised me like, dude, God's gotta do it, and it's seeing my dad do it as well. Like, I remember this one time we were on our way to church and we were already late, and this is when we were living like borderline Downey Southgate. And we had to go all the way to South LA off of Alameda and Slauson to go to church, and we were already like running late. Church was about to start like in 30 minutes, and my dad's like, we gotta go. And on the way, there was like this girl on the street, like half naked, but not like half naked, like it was a purposely that she tried to dress. It was like half naked, something happened. And I remember distinctly my dad got on the freeway and we were already heading to church. And on the next exit, he got off and he turned around. I was like, what's going on? He's like, no, I gotta do something. So then we happened to go, picked her up, and then we found out that things had happened to her the night before. And we were able to drop her off with family and keep in touch a little bit, and then still make it to church, which was crazy. That reminded me of like when Abraham was up, and I was like, how did we make it in 30 minutes?
Right.
But yeah, but like to see examples like that, so I was like, no, there's a reason why my dad is sticking with this rather than like, and let it go. There's a reason why my dad's sticking to being a pastor and continuing in this mission, because things like that could happen, and I was very aware of that, and I was just like, okay, all right, I can't mess with you. If you say that God's got you, that God's got to do something, I'm not gonna. That's a divine appointment. That's a divine thing. I'm like, that I don't need that. And it was just growing up, seeing multiple things like that.
Yeah. Because that's rare. Not every kid understands that, realizes that, accepts that, believes that. Because there is a sense. I remember talking to this guy one time, and his mom was the children's ministry director at the church. And he was saying how he didn't like the church because his mom would only cook for the church. Now that's like on her because she needed to be better at being a minister at home as well and all that. But there is a lot of this what's the word, resentment towards the church, and because it took my parents away, and it's cool to hear that's God your parents and God pretty much were like, no, you're not ever gonna see it that way.
I think you hit it right in the head. It's just that becomes the parents' fault. Yeah, it's okay. It's chosen to do ministry, whether it be in the church or outside of the church to do ministry. But God still called you to take care of the family. So the thing with my dad is, yeah, he did do his ministry. He did have to leave sometimes. But the times he was home, it was with mom. It was with the kids. And yeah, he had friends over. But guess what? Mom and the kids were still involved.
Yeah.
When we're alone, guess what? There was times even as a kid, we would play hide and seek. We would do different things. My dad, one of the things that I grew the addiction for because of him, but I don't care, was that he really loved video games. My dad loved video games.
Yeah.
Growing up, we always had PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, day one. The games, day one. But instead of just like keeping it for himself, he included the kid. And so the times where he was there, he wasn't an absent dad. He was with us.
Yeah.
So I think to his praise or whatever, he was the times when he was there, he had to be there, and he caught
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, he was a father.
Yeah, he was a father.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the difference. Is
Yeah.
I'm the way I am right now because he was there.
Right.
Instead of all about ministry, I gotta do it. Sorry, this is God's calling. Yeah, that's cool. But again, Scripture says you have to be the leader of your family.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle your own house, why are you trying to handle the church?
Woo!
And that's, again, father now, I'm like, man. And even now, like my wife's like, you're always gone. I'm like, I gotta do better. But it's that. You have to be there for the family.
Yeah.
If you're not there for your family, then you get kids like that. Oh, he always took me on it. And guess what? Then their walk.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a heavy thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I applaud my dad for what he did.
That's amazing.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Even now I'm going through it. And I'm like, dude, this is hard, man.
Yeah.
I'm questioning if I want this kid. No, I'm joking. But it's like, I get it. So that's why I'm able to now tell you, like, no, I don't have any animosity because I understand.
Yeah. And your walk is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a healthy view of who God is, his calling. Mm-hmm. One of the things that struck me right now, you said you understood your dad's calling was more important than you.
Mm-hmm. He would tell me.
And more important than your mom's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an understanding that I think it's so hard to express, because it can, if your dad says that, it sounds very self-serving and prideful. And was it just like the way they told you was that allowed you to get there?
My dad would tell me straight out, and since he said it since I was young, I kind of just like, okay, that's cool, that's fine, I understand that. I'll if that's what you're claiming. And then growing up, seeing him back that up.
Right.
Not just saying it.
Right.
Like, be a doer of
Yeah.
That's what's like, okay. That's a strong stance for you. I'll leave it like that, and I will deal with it.
Yeah, because you can't just say that and then be like whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta be about it. You're gonna say something like that. Sir. Yeah. Okay.
Like even now, like there was, for instance, there's gonna be a little bit in my life, sorry, but there was one like so we hit baseball, right?
Okay.
And there was one like I had always said like ministry is like Sunday church.
Yeah.
Church, at least for me,
right.
Church. And I'm like, and that's it. And other stuff on the side too. Like if I have like for right now, I'm doing the men's ministry as well, teaching the men's ministry.
Ooh, nice.
Thursday nights. So
yeah.
It's Sunday morning, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, and this one time he was in baseball, and his team, the whole league, had an outing to Dodger Stadium on a Sunday morning, and they were going to be able to walk on the field. So that was a big thing. She was like, "Oh, I get to walk." And I was like, "No."
There's church.
She was, what are you talking about? I was like, "Yeah, babe, I'm sorry, but we got to go to church. Like, we have things to do at church, and like we got to go." And she was like, "But this is such an opportunity. You can go." And like, that's cool. We'll go to the game after church. She's like, "But it's an early game, and then you go after church." Like, what are you not getting? Like, what are you not getting? Like, again, this is me, pastor's kid, compared to someone who really didn't grow up in a church. And she was like, "What is the opportunity?" No, church. Sorry. And she was mad at me. And I think she might be still mad at me, but I believe she did understand. Like, you say it.
Yeah.
You gotta stick by it.
Although next season with Ohtani, Might be different. No, just kidding.
And the picture too. The guy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but even then, like that was another thing about my dad. My dad loves sports. You know him. He loves Lakers. LA, loyal to the soil.
Yeah.
And even if you have the opportunity to go to a game on a Wednesday night, sorry, I can't go. I gotta go teach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sunday morning game? Nah. And this is when Kobe was playing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't go. Sorry. And so that just got it to me naturally.
Yeah.
Seeing him doing that, I was able to accept it and apply it to my life.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. What is what are some like? Do you think that? I'll ask this question after, but do you think that it's a family calling?
It has to be.
It has to be.
Because if the family's not, if it goes off what I was saying, before you could be in the calling, you have how Paul says in Timothy, you gotta be in lead of your family.
Mm-hmm.
If your house is not in check, how can you keep God's house in check?
Hmm.
And the way you gotta keep your house in check is in your word. And if your family is not in their word, or you're not leading them in the word like you're supposed to, they're not gonna be okay with the calling. There's always gonna be a fighting, and the family has to be it, and it sucks because that was one of the bad sides. Was just there was times where, again, as a kid, you want to go places on a Sunday or Wednesday night, and you can't because of church. But then you just dealt with it. It sucked, but you dealt with it. But the family has to be there because if not, I understood. If I was again, well, just like what I said, it's gonna be if I'm a distraction from him, from his calling, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because then, and it took a while for me to understand that part. Instead of like getting him away from his calling, and the distraction of his calling. That's so the distraction that's hard because going into the game, going into the service, if you're the distraction, that could throw off the game. That could keep him away from that communication with God. And then what God needs to speak to the people about, not gonna happen.
Yeah, because you're not there.
Not there.
You got in a fight with him.
Mm-hmm.
You're arguing.
Exactly.
You disobeyed. So
There's will be some times where I get in an argument with my dad, and then he's teaching, and I'm like, I don't know, to hear what he has to say about this, but he didn't let me do this. Whatever, he took away my PSP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the pressures or temptations of a PK?
So, based off of what I've been hearing from people too, it's, I felt as well was thinking that you're better than the other kids.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
That temptation's always there for me, but I kind of just like, no, like you can't do that because that's not humble. It's just not humble. And
how do you fight that?
for me, I don't. For me, I don't. I try not to let that in.
Okay.
Like, I recently heard that opened my eyes. Where it's like when the temptation comes, God gives us the strength to fight it, right?
Mm.
But the thing is that it's an easier fight if it's just there and you shoot it away compared to if it's there and you let it.
Right.
So what I do, especially for that one's easier for me. Where I'll be like, hey, no, can't even think about that because then I'm gonna have a distorted view of myself.
You just hold the thought captive and boom.
I can't because I know myself. I like attention. I like to be on stage, and I like the applause. So if any type of attention, I'll grab onto it.
Okay.
I know, especially in ministry, if I try to capture that just for attention, it's the wrong heart.
Yeah.
So I have that's an active fight, but it's gotten to be a lot easier.
Yeah. Right.
Because of that.
Man.
I mean, honestly, that's one reason why I don't go. I so badly want to do worship, be in the worship ministry, but I don't. Because of that, because I know my heart, and you know what? I just recently felt like God's like, hey, maybe you could go there now, because I fought it enough and trusted God enough to where I'm like, I don't think I'd take it to the head, and even if I did, I'd make sure I go back to God. So now my heart's right, but for a long time, I didn't like doing worship because I like to sing. I like to.
I know it never made sense to me why you never were in a worship team.
Well, that's why.
And I would ask you, and you would give me a vague answer, like,
You know what?
"Well, I got, this going on." And I was like, "That." Well.
It's just because I
But
like
now it makes sense.
I like
Makes
the
sense.
attention. So, and I don't want to be like. It's all about me singing. It's
Yeah.
all about the way my
I'm a
voice
great
is.
singer.
Exactly. And I'm like, I don't need that. Like, that's why it's like.
You turn it into a musical. You're acting out the.
Exactly. And I'm like doing different voices. Exactly. So that's why I didn't do it for a while. Was just because that'll get to my head.
Right. Yeah.
So I purposely left myself out of it. But luckily now I feel like God's like, start.
Hmm.
And I've been letting myself start, like, doing just the kids worship. Okay, cool. Or the young adult. Well, not young adults. The youth, like.
Yeah.
Leave it there. And if God wants me to move up, I'll move up. If not, I'm okay with that, man.
Yeah. Man. So then, so how would a kid, like, when I have kids, for example, these kids are gonna come into the world, and it's not like anybody's asking them when they're born, "Hey, you cool? Your dad's a pastor. You cool with that?" This is the home they're born in, the dad they're given. How does a calling then go to someone like that? Because you saw it with your sister, for example, and your brother, but more for sure your sister, because she grew like her parents are, her dad's a pastor. Yeah. Yeah. So how does that how do you transmit that to that kid?
I think the one thing that was always instilled, again,
Yeah.
you have to do it,
Right.
is your kids work alongside you. So
Mm.
you find time to let them come with you during ministry. Like, my dad, what he would do was there was times where he had to go to ministry by himself, like go somewhere else to do it. But then there'd be times where he would tell him, no, I need another ticket so I can bring my kid. For one boy or another boy. Or then when Santa grew up, okay, my daughter. So we were working, we weren't just daddy's the laborer, we became the co-laborers with him. How scripture.
Right.
And
Right.
he was leading us by example and then letting us see it at that moment. And that's what I would say is, if you want your kid to do that, is bring them along with you. When you have that ministry, take them with you when you can, because obviously there's going to be times.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, but the moments you can, take the opportunity to do it. Boom. And then let God work. Don't try to force it on them. Like, you have to go and that's it. It's, you take them, let them see it, and again, let God do the work. All you're doing is planting the seed for them. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And nature, natural stuff like that.
Because it has to be intentional, one, because that's the one thing I'm receiving. Has to be intentional. Because I do think that, like, my sister would say before, like, it's so hard being your sister, because because everyone just comes to me. Everyone just thinks like I have like your brother's the pastor, so therefore you have to be.
That's crazy.
And then to me, it's like, well, I felt like I've been called to this since I was like 15. So I've been getting ready for this for a long time. And I never really understood or captured that pressure. Now I get it. Now I understand. And I think, like, man, when I have children, these suckers are going to, like, get that 100-fold. Because once my sister got married, I mean, it's over. But these kids forever will be linked to me. What I do, good, bad. What I say, good, bad. Whatever gets twisted, what I say. Yeah, and my thought is, okay, well, how do I not push it on them, because it's not a pushing on, but there's an understanding, like, hey, like, you didn't choose this, but guess what? I didn't either. And if it was up to me, I would have. I didn't want it. But there is now an expectation, and I do think, like, man, like, if the calling is total, because I do believe that it's a total calling from the standpoint of everyone's called to support the ministry. And it's just like, well, how do you do that? How do you like prepare a kid the best that you can? Because obviously it's God who's going to have to do the work, and it's intentional, right? That's what it is. Like, you just got to be fully intentional, reminding, hey, this is number one. This is priority. Remember, this is what we're doing. This is what we're all about. And that's really how you create the legacy. Man, what is... What were some of the expectations that you, like, saw that were put on you, that you felt were put on you, by the church, by your family, or even by, like, society? Like, what were some of those expectations that you felt like were on you?
Like things I felt like I had to do.
Yeah.
I had to be at church. I mean, I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
It became a thing of like, yeah, it's a thing at home, but it's like I still had to be there. Like there was no ands if or but. I mean, sometimes at home it feels like you have to be at home, but you don't want to be at home.
Right. Yeah.
It felt that. I feel like, at least maybe not in my home church, but at other churches, especially since I was with Dad. It was make sure I'm on my best behavior. I'm not acting up. Okay, I get it. Don't be bad. It was that stuff. Just like making sure that my actions, I wouldn't say necessarily what I said because I don't think I have really bad things of saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like that a lot. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's very much just be nice. I think that's all I felt Russia was. Or there be times like I've had people question, "What's it like to be a pastor's kid too?" And I'm just like, I don't know how to explain it. Just that you're a pastor's kid.
I'm just them, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just a regular person. I mean, like I mentioned already, there was at times where I felt like people held me higher than other kids, but I was just like, okay, but I'm not, and I don't care what you think about me for a part, but at the same time, for Dad's sake, I'll shut down for you. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. That's about it.
Did you find that because your dad was a pastor, you got poured into less?
Yeah. I distinctly remember I had a fight with my dad like that one time. I was out of high school, but I was still living with him. And I remember one time where, at the time, I was really struggling with like pornography. I was struggling with just I was a liar,
Mm-hmm.
very much a liar, and it was internal things that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And I lashed out on my dad, saying like one time he was just on me because of something I said or did. And I was like, you know what, Dad? There's a lot of times where you're always dealing with a lot of people at church. When are you gonna have time to deal with me and my problems? I lashed out like that, and he goes, "What are you trying to say?" And that's when I was like, "Oh, shut down." My mistake. I let my heart open. I didn't even do that. But there were times again that I did feel like there were times where my dad was pouring and my mom was pouring into other people,
Yeah.
rather than me.
Right.
And now I just take it to where I'm like, but that as a minister now I could be sick, but that's gonna happen. It sucks, but there's also gonna be a time where sometimes you don't have time to pour in as much as you want to.
Yeah.
And that's when you gotta really like just obey the calling.
What about from other leaders at church?
They held me higher, like I had to be good.
So there was like less pouring in, because I can imagine someone being, I'm your Sunday school teacher or your youth leader, and I can imagine being like,
I can't blame them though. I can't blame them. Like I did feel that for some youth leaders, but at the same time, I also held the attitude of, "Cool, I don't need to go to you. I got that. If
oh,
I do, if
oh,
I handle a problem I have, I got dad to do that. I don't need you. I could be honest and say that's on my dad.
dang! I was not expecting that. Okay, okay, that makes sense because I have seen that, not from you, but like I've seen that from people, and that you're right. There's nothing you can do if that's the kid's attitude. Nothing,
No.
because
And it
yeah,
sucks, but I'm like, at the same for me, it
man,
sucks, but it's
yeah,
like
right.
yeah. Now again, now as a minister, I'm like I could see like I have as a minister, not just an adult. I could see like, but we all have different walks. So
Right.
there could have been something I could have learned from my youth.
Yeah.
Or my youth leaders at the time. But again, since I had that attitude, I got dad, and he was crazy before he was a Christian. Yeah, I could just go to him for advice.
Oh man.
So it really kept me away from like other youth pastors or sometimes maybe pastors I would like just talk to. That's about it. But it was mostly like if I had a question, Dad's got it.
Yeah, like dude, my dad's a pastor. It's
Yeah.
fine. Man.
I honestly feel like no, not even, to an extent even to this day, where I'm like, if I have a question about the Bible, like I'm reading something, I'll go to Dad.
Yeah.
Obviously God first, but like I feel like sometimes I feel like okay, but maybe my dad could give me advice as well on this. I'll go to him. And I've given him calls, even when I was like really questioning my faith. I'm like, Dad, but I don't get this A, B, and C. And he's like, dude, you're way overcomplicating this whole thing. He's like, just keep it simple. That's it. Yeah, but I don't understand A, B, C. Keep it simple. This is what the Bible says. That's it. And I'm like, but I don't understand it. And the one thing that really stuck out with my dad's like, it's not your job to understand. God's gonna reveal it to you when it needs to be time, but it's not your job to understand. It is your job to obey
Mm-hmm.
and be faithful. And I'm like, you're such a stupid simple
Yeah.
answer. Like, yeah, but that's
Right. Man. Did you ever feel pressure to become a pastor? Do you feel pressure to become a
no, I
pastor?
don't. Not anymore.
Okay, you used to.
I used to. Or if anything, I always felt like okay, like there, I have to do this or do that. But now, it's an active prayer. Like I see how I've grown up to see what the pastor goes through. And I'm like, Lord, if
Don't
it's
do
your
it.
will for me
Don't
to
do
be
it.
a pastor, I don't want to be a pastor. I'll be a teacher, Lord. I'll be a leader, but just not the pastor. And God's answering my prayer. I don't feel called to be a
Right.
pastor.
Yeah.
Not even in England, but teaching and like being a leader, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could be under the person. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't mind being the support.
Did you feel the pressure to be that or no?
No.
Okay.
A little bit, but then instead of just like, oh, well, I'm fighting against it, I understood again from my dad, just like, if I feel the pressure, that means God's trying to call me to it. And I'm like, I don't know. But then I see the need, and I'm like, okay, then I think this is what God wants me to be. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm good with just teaching.
Right.
And maybe a little bit of ministering. That's about it.
I'm laughing because that was my prayer when I first realized what I was called to do. Because I felt the call to the ministry when I was 15. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm being called to be a youth pastor. Like, I could be a youth pastor. It's amazing. I'll be... At the time, when you're 15, 35 seems like really, really old. And you get to 30 and you're like, it's not... Yeah, you're pretty young, actually. And I'm like, yeah, like I could be a youth pastor. I could be like the cool youth pastor who's like old, has his wife, his kids. Like, dude, I can do it. And I remember I was talking to one of the other youth leaders, and I was about to teach the general youth, and I was like 16, 17. And she was like, I don't think you're called to be a youth pastor. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was the first person that ever said that. And I was like, what? She's like, I think you're called to be a senior pastor. And I was like, you're crazy. I got to go teach. And I didn't pay much attention to that because I was like, okay, whatever. And then two other people said it. And I said, well, why this? And I started to notice my passion began to change from only youth to like men, families. And I started to be like, wait. Like, I just wanted youth. But I knew deep down, I was like, no, I kind of just, I want to teach that guy about doctrine. And I want to teach that person how to walk. And it became like, and I couldn't avoid it, but it was one of those, I remember praying. It was after high school. And I was like taking some classes at ELAC. And I remember praying and being like, Lord, I'll be the best volunteer ever. I'll teach. I'll be the best church member, and nobody will work harder than me. But just don't call me to be a pastor. Don't do that because I just. And I'll be honest with you. I want a house with a pool. that's it. I don't want like this super expensive car. I don't want a mansion. I just want a house with a pool. And at the time, you just regurgitate what people say. And I grew up in a Hispanic church, and the thought is, well, pastors are always poor. And when you don't know the Bible, you say things that are dumb, like God is against being rich, which is not true. God's against the love of money. But the Bible never speaks on like being rich, good or bad. It is what it is. Yeah. Right. But it's also like I know a lot of like bitter, proud, poor people. So it's just like this like difference. So but I remember at the time being like, man, if I become a pastor, I'll never have enough money to buy a house with a pool. But I remember just knowing there's no other way. I remember knowing that I knew the answer. And as I was praying it, I just knew, dude, this is it, man. And I remember I tried to like run away from it for a little bit. I'm like, I'm just not going to teach then. I'm going to go to church. I'm just not going to teach. And I felt like in Jeremiah where it says like his like mouth, like he had blisters. I felt like I was dying when I would like, I would study my Bible and I'm like, I need to share this to somebody. And like, but then I don't, because if I start this, I know where this is ending. And finally I was like, fine, I'll pursue this. I'll go. And then like from there, the trajectory, it was nuts. Because from there, I went from the church I was at, John, I felt like I needed to leave that church. John, I knew from the church I grew up in, and John was like, dude, come help me, do youth, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll go. And I showed up, and I remember it was the first time when I went to solo, it was the first time where I didn't show up with my resume. Because I remember growing up in the church, and I went to like the other church, and I remember as soon as I got there, I'm like, hey, I teach. I could teach. I've been a youth leader, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I showed up to solo, and I'm like, you know what? No, this is about God. I'm going to be humble. And I'm just going to sit. I just need to sit under a pastor, because the church I grew up in, I left because I got in an argument with the pastor. I disagreed with his doctrine, false doctrine, and he wanted me to teach his sermons. I'm like, I'm never doing that. So I left. And when I got to Sola, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit. I'm not going to volunteer for anything. I know John wants me to help him, but I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to sit and receive and just like for the first time in a long time, because it had been a long time that I had submitted to like a preaching and a pastor, which is super important. It's super important that everybody needs to do that. And I remember I sat, and I remember like outside, like I have this app on my phone called Time Hop, and it'll give you like every day like old pictures, and I'll get like stuff that I was posting when I was like first starting at solo, the sermons. And I remember just sitting and feeling like, man, like I needed this. And John, after 6 months, because when I first got to solo, the rule was you sit 6 months, and then we'll see. And then Ray came up to me, and am I right? John was like, "Okay, 6 months. Talk to pastor. You can do like serve." And I'm like, "Fine." But I knew when I got to solo, I knew I'm not really called to do this anymore. I need to. I want to serve families. But I did it because I was like, John's my guy. He needs it. And I fell in love with the youth ministry, and it was like amazing serving that youth. And I remember Ray one time walked up to me and he's like, "Hey, like, I know you're serving youth, but you don't want to help in another ministry?" And I'm like, "Well, which one?" And he's like, "Kids," and I'm like, "No, God, no," because I just can't teach little kids. And I was like, "No, I don't want to do youth children's ministry." Shout out to all those people that do children's ministry. God bless their heart, man. Yeah. give the children's ministry people a Christmas gift, because those people are the salt of the earth. Yeah. And then he said, "Well, we need help translating. Can you translate?" And I was like, "I know how to speak Spanish." And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, let me translate. Let me do it." And I did it, and then just went. So I just, as you're saying, like that prayer stuff, it hits because I was there. I was there. Just, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I knew I had to. Now you're coming from different perspectives. So, do you feel like it's ever like what's the I don't even know how to ask this, but church is not a family business. It's not a family business. But is there, in what you've seen and what you know, your experience, a like transferring or so of not calling, not like your dad's no longer called, but like it's like an yeah, right.
I can see that it can happen. It just depends. Honestly, it just depends on what the Lord wants.
Right.
That's all it comes down to. I could be the most doctrinal person. I could be on point on everything, and maybe I'm there every Sunday, everywhere doing all this, and I might seem like to be the best thing. But if God doesn't want me there, and God doesn't want me to take over,
And you want right.
They could force it, and I 100 hardly believe the church will feel it.
Oh yeah.
This, I, in my mind, I can see. It's not about the people, about the number, but people are gone. Ministries are gonna suffer. Like the spirit will be replaced.
What's the saying? God calls, people confirm, and I'm a big believer of that.
Yeah.
People confirm whether someone's gifted, and if the people aren't responding to you, then it's you're either in sin or you're not called. Who has been your biggest support in your journey as you've navigated through this life into like spiritual support? Or actually support in every sense, but specifically to like the topic we're talking about.
For me, and again, it just comes down to how they raised me. It's been my parents. I know that if I fall, I can go back right to them and you're loving. Okay, you deal with it, but you gotta get it right, John. And they've been the biggest support since day one. I mean, I can literally say they've been a day one, and they've always told me like, we don't care what you do, as long as you're doing what God's told you to do. We're good.
Yeah.
Even if it means you go countries away, we'll still be okay.
Mm.
And they've been my biggest supporters.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, my wife is a big supporter as well. Where I could tell it does hurt her when I gotta be away, but she gets the vision.
Right.
And especially now, that's I cherish that so much to know that my wife. But it still hurts to know that I'm still away from that.
Right.
Is this the right thing? Is this the right move? Do I really have to do it? Be out here, or should I be at home with my wife? And so those questions always happen, but I still live by God first, and then you do your then that'll come together naturally.
Mm.
If God's truly the reason and the purpose of it, God will keep it.
Yeah. Good stuff. What are you doing for Christmas?
Christmas, I'm going to my parents' Christmas Eve. Spend the day, the whole time there.
After church?
After church, yep. Oh, I forgot. This weekend it's supposed to be relaxing. It's gonna be packed. We have snow on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So that's we're gonna do that. We go home. We go to church. We go probably home to rest. Parents go to her mom's because her mom likes to do Christmas morning. So we'll do that.
Nice.
Wake up to presents because Santa came.
Right.
And Toby's all into that.
Yeah.
We've told Toby like, yeah, Santa goes to Grandma's house because here we believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
So he's fully excited. At the moment we have tons of presents, but at Grandma's there's presents, but they're all empty.
Right. Yeah.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. Happen at Grandma's, that's fine. But just know the season is Jesus, right?
That's amazing. What do you think is the best dish you're gonna eat?
I don't know. It's gonna be because Thanksgiving, I know what I'm gonna eat, and I know like who's gonna bring what.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas is always like up in the air. Some years someone makes some noodles or pozole.
Yeah.
Other years it doesn't show up, and I'm like, so hopefully pozole shows up.
Okay.
That's gonna be it.
Perfect.
It's gonna be like 3 dishes.
Nice. You still get Christmas gifts?
I get Christmas gift.
Okay.
A gift or two maybe.
Okay.
I know one for sure. My parents always give me at least a gift card or somewhere. Obviously, my wife and my son gives me a gift.
Right.
Quote unquote. Other than that, maybe my brother. I'm alright with that.
Okay. What's last year was the best gift you got?
I gotta think. Well, my wife, she knows I'm a Star Wars fan, so she got me. My favorite character is Ahsoka, so she got me her lightsabers, the legacy lightsabers from Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Nice.
I love it.
Nice. Final question. Entering the new year, are you a New Year's resolution type of person?
Kinda. I'm more of like I'll set up things I want to do, but if I don't get to them, I'm okay with that.
Okay. What's one place you want? What's one thing you want to do that 2024? One thing.
It's kind of a thing where I've already applied, so I'm not hearing back. I'm trying to get into sheriff department.
Oh,
So I'm applying to a different PD.
nice.
So see what I get, and that's a big one.
Okay.
I've been training for it. I've been
Dang.
already. And yeah, so that's my goal is sheriff.
Oh man, we'll pray for that. That's amazing. Cool. Thank you for being on. I enjoyed this. This was good.
I mean, it was actually a lot longer, bro. We've been talking about this for like a year, huh?
Yeah.
I gotta go, but I've been busy, dude. I was like, I need to do this. And then finally got
It look. I think it worked at the perfect time. I was working 2 jobs, so I had it. I started recording seriously post Thanksgiving. So I'm glad in a way we didn't do it before, because it wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have been. It would have been rushed. It would have been. It wouldn't. It wouldn't have been the conversation it was. So I'm glad we waited, because it's all in God's timing. So I'm glad it worked out. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we did it, and I hope everyone enjoys it, because it's a very my takeaway. Intentionality. Be intentional, and things are going to be rough. Things are going to be tough, but if you're intentional, it's going to be It's gonna help. It goes a long way.
The Lord's will is His bill.
Mm.
Emotionally, financially, everything.
Mm.
It's literally that.
Yeah. Awesome. So, thanks. All right, that was the pod, and it was good to have Johnny on. Sorry for the audio quality, my bad, but hopefully you enjoy it. It was a good conversation, and Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening. Rate, review, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next week. Until next time.